What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the last part of the pilot video for the transmission, and I'm going to show you the gasket that I got, what it went to, and give you the part number. But I'm going to do all the torque specs on this. This may be a short video, I don't know yet, but I'm going to put the axle, torque the axle nuts on, torque the subframe, weld up the exhaust, and put the fluid in it. And then I think I have to do the steering, and that'll be it. But we're going to try to do all that in this video. And like I said, first thing I'm going to do is torque the subframe bolts, and there should be 4 of those. Here's the front ones. The rear ones have like a little stud that sticks out. I think like a 14mm nut goes on that, but they just have like a little bracket attaches also. We'll put those on afterwards, but all 4 of them torque to 76 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick, and I'm going to show me torquing them down real quick for everybody. So I have my torque wrench set right here. I am using my clip style, and these bolts are 17mm. Go over them a couple times. We're going to do the back one right now. Alright, that was the driver's side. We're going to go ahead and do the passenger side. I probably won't show me doing that side, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually weld up the exhaust real quick on this, but I got to prep it a little bit before I can do that. I'm going to knock some of the rust off of it. Alright, now I'm going to torque the axle nuts on this. They torque to 210 foot-pounds. And the way I'm doing this is I put a crowbar or a pry bar with the axle nuts on it so I don't mess up the threads. And then I'm going to use my torque wrench right here and torque it down. If you find this a little close to the body over here, what you can do is put an extension on it a little bit. Alright, there's one. And you're going to see there's a little indentation right here in the axle. We're going to get a punch and a hammer, and we're going to stake that into that little indentation. Now we got this one. We'll just go over to the next one and do the same thing. This is easier for me to show you this on the old transmission since it's out, and you can't really see it on the new one due to the intake tube and all that stuff. But the gasket that I had to get was for this solenoid right here. Here's the one that was on the new transmission. As I said, it broke the connector off of it, which typically these are easy to do because of where it's located. The firewall sits like, or the side of the engine bay sits right here. And when you're lifting it, you have to tilt it, or when you're dropping it, you have to tilt it, and sometimes that can catch, and that's probably the reason that this one broke on the new one. But this is what the gasket looks like right there. That's the old one. Here's the part number. It is 28262-RDK-000. And that is a Honda only part. I couldn't find it aftermarket. And online, that right there was really only like $6, which wasn't that bad. But this right here is going to face this way, That long tube's going to go up inside the little recessed area. Then 2 smaller ones will go into these little round orifices right there. But you just put it down, and it's 4 10mm bolts, and they torque to 22 foot-pounds. As you can see, we have everything pretty much put back together. I just have to put some power steering fluid, transmission fluid, and hook up the steering. And to put the transmission fluid in, I don't know if you can see that nut right there, that bolt right there. It should have ATF written on it for automatic transmission fluid. I think it's a 17. You remove that, and that's where you put your fluid in. Here it is on the old one. It's right in front of where that solenoid goes, or right behind. But I have everything else buttoned up on it. Like I said, all I have to do is put power steering fluid in it and put transmission fluid in it and hook up the steering. But I'm going to show you a better view of the steering here in just a minute, because it was kind of hard for me to do it inside the car the first time. So I'll show you what it looks like here in just a second. I'm underneath the steering column now. I've already got it back in, but you can see this coupling, how it's splined, and you can see the flat spot on it right there. So that right there needs to line up where the bolt goes so it can clear the splines right here. But this is a 10mm, and there's another 10mm right there. And on the actual steering rack, there is an orange plastic piece that the bolt goes through. I know you can probably kind of see it a little bit right there. But whenever you are putting it back together, make sure that those line up right. And you can just tighten it until you feel it have some resistance on it. There's not really a torque spec in the work procedure, so like I said, you just go off your own judgment on that. But whenever you're putting it back up in, make sure you have somebody helping you so you can line this up, because this can be a real pain in the butt. I have done these before where I didn't have somebody to help me, so I had to drop the steering column down a little bit, and there's 4 12mm bolts up above you, and you can just kind of lower it down a little bit, stick it in, and tighten it all back up. But it is a little bit of a pain in the butt to do this by yourself. The other thing I want to show you is this is the cover, and on the cover they have these 2 clips. One goes, the big one goes right here, and the little one goes at top. And then there's 3 of these right here. All they do, they just screw into some little studs that are on the firewall on the inside, and that covers up your steering shaft and protects it from dirt and grime and everything. But that is putting that in there, and next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to try to crank it up and put some fluid in it. So I'm sitting in the Pilot right now, and I just got through putting the rest of the fluid in it, and I had it running while I did that. And before I even crank it up though, I put about 3 quarts of fluid in it just to make sure something was in the torque converter and in the actual transmission itself. And it calls for like 6 quarts of DW1 Honda or Acura fluid. I actually had to put 8 quarts in this one, so I'm guessing some of it come out of the torque converter while it was sitting or any of that stuff. But we had it running, and it was running good and all that stuff, and the fluid was full. It had some codes on it. I forgot to hook up one engine coolant temperature sensor, the number 2 sensor. I forgot to hook that one back up. It's on the back side of the thermostat, but I got it on now, and as you can see, there's no lights on. And I'm going to crank it up now just so everybody can see. You can tell that the power steering's whining a little bit, which these are typical on a Honda. If they get any kind of air in the system, and the power steering pumps tend to go bad a good bit on these. But she's running now, and I'm going to throw her in reverse real quick. Now we're going to drive. Moving a little bit, and drive 3, 2, and 1, and go it through each gear independently. And there we go. It did have an exhaust leak before we come in, so, and what I've welded is welded up completely. I did double check that about 4 times just because I heard it leaking, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't what I did to make it leak like that. But we're going to look and see where the leak is coming from for him and see if he wants us to get that fixed for him. But this will finish up this series. If you have any questions or anything, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And I think I covered everything that was like major on this video as far as torque specs. The rims do torque to 80 foot-pounds. I went a little more, went to 90, just because of the age of the car and the age of the lug nuts and the threads and stuff. I wanted to make sure that they were torqued down good for them. But everything's running. I'm going to check to make sure his tires are inflated correctly, because he does have a tire pressure light on. But other than that, like I said, this will conclude the Pilot transmission R&R. And if y'all would, please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. And until next time, y'all have a great day.